All right, hi everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all at DevFest Lagos 2025. My name is Kausarat Adauagba, and I work as a product manager at InterSwitch Group. Beyond my day-to-day role, you'll find me doing a lot of community-driven work, like she has said. I am deeply committed to one, giving back, and two, continuous learning. And I have been able to achieve this and still achieving this through a couple of amazing communities out there. As a STEM advocate, I'm equally passionate about empowering the next generation of product leaders to navigate the tech space with confidence and clarity. Of course, outside all of the serious work, I still make sure to create time for the personal things that bring me joy. So I love to play, dress up, and look good. I also love dining in restaurants with good food. I think recently I also discovered that I just might have a thing for traveling. We'll see about that as well. So yes, with all of that being said, let's get into the business of the day. When I started out in product management, if there's something I've learned so far, it's this. Building products goes beyond just shipping and building features. It's more about ensuring those features solve actual problems and contribute to real business values. So how many of us in the room have been caught up in what we call the feature factory trap in the world of product? What that simply means is your team or the product team is constantly building features because they look good on your roadmap, not because they solve an actual customer pain point. Anybody, does that sound familiar? All right, so today we'll be discussing something that has helped me and many others avoid this trap, and that's what we call continuous discovery, and how it can be the key to scaling tech products. So we'll start by addressing a common pitfall in the world of product management, and that's a term that was coined by John Kotler. We call it the feature factory, and he basically used this to describe scenarios where product teams continue to focus on the quantity of features they deliver rather than the outcome they drive. And if product teams are not careful today, we would keep on falling into this trap over and over again. Of course, we'll describe what that looks like in the real world. It typically starts with, the brainstorming phase. This is what we'll call the PI planning or the sprint planning in the world of products. At this point is where everyone in the product team were gathered in a room and everyone is excited to discuss, the next set of features we're looking to implement on our product. It could even be a feature that a stakeholder suggested. Everyone is just excited to talk about, how to go about implementing those set of features. And then we go ahead to the building phase. At this phase, sprints are ready, deadlines have been set, and everyone is focused on shipping. And then we get to the shipping phase. That's where we release those set of features into the production environment. And like product teams will always do, we'll most likely post a message on Slack or somewhere on Teams just to notify everyone that those set of features or that feature is now live. And lastly, we want to track the success or failure of those set of features that we have just released, right? But here is the catch. Most times, some product teams don't define what success really means. Was it just that the feature went live, or did it improve our customer experience? Did it contribute significantly to our business outcomes? And then lastly, we repeat. The cycle goes over and over again. We build, we brainstorm, we ship, without really pausing to reflect and ask ourselves, does this set of feature actually solve an actual customer pain point? What exactly is it doing? So that's what we mean when we talk about the feature factory trap. Teams are busy, yet our outcomes aren't improving, but somehow we feel productive, but are we really purposeful, right? I think that's a question to keep in mind. And of course, data doesn't lie. As of 2024, there was a survey that was conducted by Product Plan, and the results of that survey showed that about 54% of product roadmaps still focus on output. And what that tells us is we still have a lot of product teams today that are still trapped in the feature factory. All they are concerned about is building output. And I think we also need to be able to differentiate output from outcomes, because today, a lot of product teams focus more on output. Outputs, they basically measure our activities, the things that we build, but outcome measures impact. Those are the things that changes as a result of things that we're building or the things that we build. And of course, only 46% of product teams were recorded to still emphasize outcomes. I mean, only 46% really measure the impact of the products that they are building. And now that we've been able to, establish that being output focused isn't working, then what's the alternative? How do we make sure we're solving the right problems before going ahead to build anything? That's where product discovery comes in. And as one of my favorites, Teresa Torres, she's one of the leading voices in the world of product management. She defined product discovery as the work that we do to decide what to build, and product delivery as the work we do to build, ship, and maintain a quality product. What that tells us is product discovery is more about figuring out if we're building the right thing, and then delivery as making sure we're building it the right way. And of course, she also went ahead to discuss or define continuous discovery as the ongoing practice of regularly engaging with your customers, testing ideas, and updating your understanding as the product evolves. If you notice the key word there, it's ongoing. What that tells us is product discovery isn't something that is meant to happen only at the start or beginning of a project. It's something that keeps on happening as you go ahead to deliver and build your product. And trust me, the best product teams out there are the ones that keep on learning, experimenting, and iterating as they go ahead to build and deliver great products. So of course, there are various benefits and reasons why continuous discovery matters when scaling a tech product. First, it helps to avoid the build trap. As product teams grow, it's very tempting, to just keep on building and shipping features. But what continuous discovery helps us avoid is building things that nobody really wants or uses. And of course, it reduces assumptions. As you scale, it's very easy to fall into the trap of assuming you know what your customers need. But when you conduct discovery, you are grounded in real user data because, of course, you've spoken to your customers, you know what the pain points are, and you're able to tailor your solution to fit into, whatever you have gotten as an output or a result from your discovery. And then it reduces risk. Scaling without discovery is very risky because you might be investing a lot of time and resources into something that nobody will really use. But when you conduct discovery, you are able to avoid building things that nobody really wants or need. And then, of course, it creates alignment. A lot of us have been in situations where members of your team, everybody has like different visions and different opinions of a product. But when you conduct discovery, it sort of brings everyone towards the same goal. And then lastly, quick adaptation to change. The market today is constantly evolving. And what that tells us is our user needs are also shifting. But with continuous discovery, we're able to stay adaptable. And when changes are happening out there, we don't miss whatever is going on. Of course, we have some best practices that power continuous discovery today. So the truth is, as your product grows, so does the complexity. You are dealing with more users, more moving parts of your products. And, when you conduct discovery, it just keeps you focused on what your users are really saying. And I've broken this down into 4 major categories. These are some of the techniques and tools that power discovery today. First, we have the qualitative techniques. So qualitative techniques, what it does is it helps you deeply understand your users. And of course, there are various ways to go about conducting the qualitative mode of discovery today. We have user interviews. You can also do that through story-based conversations, usability testing. What that means is you give your customers or your users a task to perform when it comes to your product, and you watch them do that task, and you also try to ask questions along the way. And then lastly, we have contextual inquiry. If some of us have heard, from the world of Lean or Kaizen, we hear something around Gemba work. What Gemba work means is you go into the environment where the work is happening, and you try to observe people as they do the work. The version of that when it comes to products is what we call contextual inquiry, right? So that's where you go to your user's environment, you watch how they use your product, and you try to just ask them questions along the way, because that sort of gives you insights into how they are using your product. And of course, we have the quantitative techniques. So qualitative techniques, at that stage, right, we are not dealing with numbers. What we do at that stage is we are more concerned about human stories. We just want to hear our customers' frustrations. What exactly are the issues? What are your motivations? What do you love about our products? What is stressing you out? And then the quantitative techniques is where we now deal with like a lot of numbers. This one shows you how big a problem is as regards your product, right? So if qualitative answers why, quantitative answers how many, how big. And of course, we have visual synthesizers. These tools, they are visual tools that help you make sense of a messy information. So when you're dealing with too many data or too much data, too much feedback, or you have so many ideas and you're trying to segment everything, this is where some of these visual tools come in. They're able to help you see patterns, and then you're able to make better decisions. And lastly, we have automation. as much as we say, oh, continuous discovery or conducting discovery is very important, trust me, it is really a lot to do, right? But today we have some automation tools that just helps you take away some of the, redundant work, so to say, and then you are able to focus on what your customers are really saying. For example, if you set up a virtual meeting with your user, for example, you are able to add the likes of Fireflies AI, Otter AI, those tools that help you take minutes or summaries of your sessions, so you are able to focus more on what your users are saying instead of at the same time trying to jot down. You already know that you have some of these tools that can just help you take away that side of things, and you're able to focus more on what your customers are saying. Of course, this is a visual tool that I love so much. It's something we call the opportunity solution tree. So what it does is it helps you break down bigger outcomes into smaller user problems, and it also gives you ways to suggest solutions to addressing them. So of course, at the top of the tree, we have outcome. The outcome is simply the goal your team is trying to achieve. And your outcome has to be measurable. It must be tied to a business outcome or a user value. And then below the outcome, we have the opportunities. Opportunities are simply all the user problems. Think of your users' frustrations, everything you've pretty much gotten as a result of conducting a research are what we call opportunities. You can as well call them problems, right? And then we go into solutioning. At that stage is where we try to come up with possible solutions to addressing all of the various pain points, all the problems, all the opportunities we have cited. And I think some teams really be missing the point at this stage, because some people will go right from, having a goal to just solutioning without trying to conduct discovery. And the beauty of opportunity solution trees, again, is you don't have to marry your first idea. So you can go about coming up with different solutions for the same opportunity. So that's why I have the solution tree at the bottom of a single opportunity. So it tells you that you're able to, for a single opportunity, you're able to come up with different solutions to addressing that same one. And of course, before we commit to a solution, we try to experiment. You want to test your ideas, so you're not wasting a lot of time and resources building the wrong thing. So that's really what the opportunity solution tree is all about. So if you ever find your team confused or overwhelmed, this is a visual tool that can help the team create some sort of alignment amongst themselves, right? And so let's take a look at what discovery looks like in the real world. So I think some of us know Lovable, an AI tool. How many of us use Lovable in the room? Oh, amazing. I personally use Lovable myself. So most times when I'm trying to, tell my team or give my team a certain idea and I really don't know how to put it, I can just go on Lovable. Can you come up with a low fidelity, high fidelity prototype? I'm trying to explain this idea, but I need some sort of visuals that can guide me, when I'm explaining this to my team members. So of course, Lovable, it's an AI-powered platform that enables us to build full-stack web applications using natural language prompts. So recently, I used Lovable a lot, so I actually got this email as well. So I think they figured that some of their users were having a lot of challenges when it comes to integrating, right? Or when it comes to integrations. And, they could easily have said, oh, or somebody on the team could have easily said, I think I know what we can do to address this problem. But they decided not to do that. They decided to conduct discovery. Somebody probably said, why not, allow us to talk to our users? Let's actually hear from them. What are the challenges they are facing when it comes to integrating, our tool with other products, right? So there was this email from Jessica. She's a product manager at Lovable. She sent an email to users. I don't know how many, but I got the email, right? Just to understand the challenges we are facing when it comes to integrations, right? So this discovery that she has done would make us see where users are actually struggling rather than what somebody has assumed they are struggling with. And of course, SA or SC, sorry if I butchered the name, but she went ahead to also send some sort of survey just to see where the patterns really lies. She sent a survey as well for us to fill as regards the product. So if you notice something here, like I said earlier, they just didn't go ahead to solutioning. They decided to listen to their users, understand the problem, and then use all the insights they get from their users, all the feedback to guide the next thing they are going to build or to guide the solution to the integration problem. So there is something we call the continuous discovery loop in product management. So when we think of product work, we typically divide it into two separate buckets, discovery and delivery. But in reality, these two, they are not linear. They constantly feed each other, and that's what this loop is all about. So on the left-hand side, we have discovery. This is where we try to understand what the problem is. And when it comes to discovery, the first stage is to explore. So this is where you talk to your users, you dig into data, you get a lot of feedback and try to identify where the opportunities are. And of course, we go into prototyping. At this stage, of course, we're not building the product in full yet. We're just trying to validate our assumptions. So we build or we come up with quick prototypes. We test our ideas just to see if our assumptions hold up, in quotes. And then on the delivery side is where our ideas now turn into reality. So we go ahead to pilot. At the pilot phase, we want to release our product to a limited audience just to see how our product performs in the real world. We get their feedback. And something about pilot and what it does is it helps us validate if our product is actually solving the problem at scale. And then lastly, we go ahead to scale up. At this point is where we go all in, we build our product in full, we release it to a wider audience, and then we continue to support the product at scale. And then at the middle, we have the metric. The metric is the anchor of this loop. It's what keeps the loop alive. And metrics tells us when to stop, when to continue, or when to go back into the discovery phase. So this is what the discovery loop is about, and every stage basically informs the other one. So there's this quote I love by Ajahn Harris. I won't read it out. I'll just go ahead to summarize it. But what this quote is trying to say is most of the time, our first assumptions might be wrong or incomplete. But with continuous discovery, it keeps us curious, and curiosity helps with building products that scale effectively. So when it comes to continuous discovery, it goes beyond tools and techniques, right? It's more about the mindset. It's more about how you think. It's more about how you work. And of course, there are 3 mindsets that a great discovery team needs to have. And these 3 mindsets separate them from, the other teams out there. So first is the collaborative mindset. So doing discovery, works best when you're not making decisions in isolation. So in the product world, we have the product trio, and that consists of the product manager, the designer, and the tech lead. So these people, when it comes to discovery, they need to work together. Today, I think what typically happens in companies is you see the product manager just trying to understand the problem, designer is doing their own thing, engineering too is doing their own thing. But for them to conduct discovery and actually get insights, they need to come together as one, right? And then this is what a full product team might look like. Of course, we might have so many other people involved, depending on what the solution is or what we're trying to build, right? Outside the larger team or within the large team, we have, a smaller group, which is what we call the trio, like I said. So there's the product manager who owns the problem space. This person tries to create alignment, and you're basically representing the user and the business. And then there's the design person that's trying to shape the user experience and, helping us visually test our ideas. And of course, we have the tech lead. This person is the person that shows us or tells us if something is possible. This person ensures feasibility and guides technical decisions. And of course, we have all the other supporting roles. Every role in the product lifecycle, there's no one that is less important because everybody comes and brings value at some point when we are building our product. And the collaborative mindset is only the foundation. But for this to thrive, you also need your team to have what we call the continuous mindset, right? So discovery, it never really ends, because you keep learning new things from your users all the time. And then lastly, we have I can see my time is running. We have the experimental mindset. So when you have an experimental mindset, you need to be ready and willing to be wrong, right? So teams that have an experimental mindset, as opposed to defending, an idea that a stakeholder gave you, people or teams with experimental mindsets will come and say, oh, let's not just accept this idea. What can we do? What can we do to actually test what this person is saying and if it's actually going to work, right? And then, of course, I have top 5 books that can help you deepen your discovery knowledge. The first one is by Teresa Torres. Like I said, she's one of my favorite people when it comes to the product world. She wrote a book on continuous discovery habits. So in this book, she basically walked us through the mindset you need to have to conduct discovery, the habits, techniques, practical techniques that you can use to speak to your customers and make better decisions. We also have the likes of Inspired by Marty. We have the Build Trap by Melissa Perry. So if you read this book, she basically explained how product teams fall into the feature factory, and how we can move product teams from having an output mindset to an outcome mindset. And then we have the mom test. This book, if you want to build products and you don't want to waste time building something that won't work, I think you should read this book, because she would give you practical tips on how to get genuine, honest, and unbiased feedback from your users. Right? So thank you for spending some time with me. I think I really managed my time well. So if we have any questions, this is the point where I take them. So any questions, any insights, any suggestions, you can speak to me now. I hope I have been communicating, by the way. Yes or nay? All right, thank you. Yeah, you can speak. All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So my question is, I guess a bit more personal. For your own journey, right? When you started as, have you always started as a product?
No, you'll be surprised at my background. I studied
Uh,
theater arts.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. That's good because I also study finance and I'm here at DevFest, right? So I was just like, how do you discover that this is something that you want to do, and then what keeps you going in that direction?
Okay. So for me, I used to tell people that my journey is a special one. So I think I still have 4 minutes to walk you through that. So like I said, I studied theater arts. And after school, of course, at the top of my head, I wanted to be an on-air personality because I like to talk to an extent. So every time when I was in 200, 300 level, I would intern at radio stations because I wanted to be like those presenters. And then I was done with my project and we had a very long break from school. And I saw the internship thing from InterSwitch, and that was how I joined the company, and that was literally how my journey started into the world of tech. I really didn't know anything. I didn't even know what the company was, what they did or anything, but they were able to train me, and I was first a business analyst, by the way. So I was there. I was working with like the robotics process automation team. So basically, I'll be the one to help them with their technical requirements. I'll go ahead and understand what we need the robots to come and automate. And then I'll come back, explain to my team, and we try to build something that makes their life easier using the robots, right? And then I just figured all the time is documentation I'm doing. I really want to be involved in, with the team that actually goes ahead to build like actual products. What does it take? And then I think my manager saw that I think this girl might just have, some sort of, let me give her a trial. And they moved me into the product team. And that was how my journey literally started. And I think I love it there. It's been amazing. And it's been an amazing journey. A tough one, but really amazing. So it took a lot of learning as well. But we're doing this. All right. Thank you so much. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. I also have a LinkedIn newsletter where I share my insights as a product manager. I also do a thing or two on Medium as well. And if you don't want to be in the very serious space, I'm on Instagram. Feel free to chat me up, ask any questions. We could be friends, It's okay. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing time at the rest of DevFest Lagos 2025. Thanks for having me.